What is up, you sexy Mother Hubbard? It is your saviour of politics YouTube here, A. Thompson, back to help you make sense of the senseless and indeed make light of your darkness. Let's go. Just super quickly, I don't have time to do a full alternative paper review this morning, so you've just got this. I got minimal childcare this week, so let's just quickly blitz through these front pages, shall we? Over on the right, we have the Telegraph. Over on the left, we have the Guardian this morning. Two opposing, grating, dissonant ends of the politics binary. But they're both talking about the same story. They're talking about Labour and its stance, or stances, on business, just ahead of today's business conference thing, and Keir Starmer's going to do a speech there. Now, first, let's get on to why this is important. Why would Labour be talking about business? Well, if you position yourself right of centre, and if you're drunk on the opinion pages and rhetoric of the right-wing tabloids, you'd be forgiven for thinking that Labour are a bunch of ideological, Marxist, leftist lunatics. Whereas if you sit left of centre, you'd be forgiven for thinking they're not leftist or Marxist enough. That Keir Starmer is a Tory in a red tie. As ever, the truth is probably somewhere in between, but nuances still on furlough, so we are where we are. Now, this business and investment conference stuff is super important because we need investment, we need corporations, billionaires, weapons trafficking magnate, barons, the super wealthy families that own the copyright to the colour purple. We want, or need, all of them to bring their money here to the United Kingdom to help spark growth, to dig us out of the hole that we're in, right? Because remember, like, public services crumbling, ageing population need lots of money to pay for their care. Taxes are already too high. If you borrow too much, then you spook the markets and end up with some sort of mini budget 2.0 situation. So really all you have left is growth. And that is what Labour have bet the house on. Like, we can get us back to growth, and then that will magically pay for everything. So if you bet the house on growth, then a conference where you were attracting in investors, billionaires, etc., to set up shop in the UK, you know, pharmaceutical subsidiaries, crypto trading arms, European HQ for manufacturing and logistics staff, right? A conference that showcases all of these opportunities would be invaluable. That would be an essential cog in that broader plan. Where it gets interesting is where you have this sort of two sides to Labour thing going on. On the one hand, you have people like Louise Hay and Angela Rayner, who are vociferously in support of expanding workers' rights. You may have seen that illustrated recently with Rayner's new workers' rights bill, like, rollout last week, but also with Louise Hay's criticism of P&O and her voicing the fact that she had personally boycotted that company and she would encourage others to do the same. So you got pro-workers' rights, down with corporations, yes, you should restrict them, yes, they do need to be regulated, and then concurrently over here, you've got Starmer, Reeves, all of them desperate to billboard Britain as though it is this, oh, well, we won't wrap you up in unnecessary red tape. We're going to sack off some regulations. Needless regulations. Yeah, you don't need to worry about that, or state overreach. The question that leaps to the fore of my mind when I hear assurances like that from people like Starmer and Reeves is which regulations, which red tape specifically are you intending to bin? Because it's all very well trying to bat off these accusations and caricatures that Labour are a load of Marxist activists, leftists. Like, oh, I'm Keir Starmer and I am passionately pro-business. Like, it's all very well doing that, saying that, you know, oh, I've heard the caricatures, I've heard the stereotypes, but don't worry, this Labour government are pro-business. We're on your side, guys, and you could take that to the bank. But how do you square that circle with not just the expansion of workers' rights, in a time when everyone is acutely aware of abuses like 0 hours contracts, fire and rehire, outfits like Deliveroo and Uber, who are constantly trying to wriggle out of their employers' responsibilities, but also actual, like, red tape, like regulations when it comes to, like, building materials in a post-Grenfell Britain. Like, yeah, let's cut the red tape. Yeah, don't worry about being over-regulated. We can get rid of unnecessary regulations, guys. Block of flats goes up in flames. Jesus Christ. It's happened again. Yeah. I tell you what, I can barely finish my chlorinated chicken. But also this sort of unspoken tsunami wave that we can see coming in the distance towards these multinational corporations by way of probable tax hikes. Like, we know there's like a, what is it, £25 billion black hole. We know the spending plans that they've established. We know how screwed the Treasury is, don't we? That they need to find that money from somewhere. And we know that they've put a cast iron commitment that they are not going to raise taxes for regular working people. So NI is out, income tax is out. Like, what does that leave, right? Capital gains, right? And that is being floated. That's being sort of anonymously briefed at the moment. So that probably will happen. But also, more broadly, it's going to hit corporations in some way, isn't it? It's going to be either through corporation tax or some sort of dividend tax or employers' NI rather than your personal national insurance. The employer that employs you has to pay national insurance also, so they might hike that. So I don't know, man. Like, it's just the whole pro-business thing of late. Like, I understand why they're doing it. I understand why they're setting out their stall, trying to attract investment, trying to get these billionaires in. Because there are, like, as much as we are all drunk on this British exceptionalism thing, like, oh, of course they'll want to invest in Blighty. This is Britain, old son. Like, the reality is that if you are a billionaire, if you are an investor, you have a choice of about 20 different countries, different economies where you could set up that manufacturing house, where you could put out that crypto trading arm. So it is important for the UK to set out its stall and say, look, we will only tax you this amount. We can give you some breaks on that. We're not going to heavily regulate you. I do understand why they're doing and saying what they're doing, but I'm also like, this is just going to come back to bite you in the bum. Like, people are going to say that you are untrustworthy when in 6 months or 12 months, you have to reverse ferret out of these commitments, or you do decide to regulate more heavily, or you do allow the financial services sector a cut of, let's say, like, they haven't said this, but let's say that they did do this. They reduced corporation tax for the financial services sector down to like 12%. You know, suddenly all of these international hedge funds are like, oh, the Brits have actually figured it. Yeah, okay, we'll move to Britain. Then 8 months later, you jack up their employers' NI by like 5%. Completely negating all of the savings that they make. Like, you're just going to piss everybody off. Anyway, that's it from me this morning. There's a new Punk Politics. I used to do like 20-minute, 25-minute Punk Politics videos. I did one yesterday about the final 2 Tory leadership candidates. That one is mostly about Robert Jenrick. And then I'm going to do a separate one for Kemi Badenoch. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go and check it out now. I'm actually rather proud of it.
Prince Andrew's a non-spurger.